All right, now let's take a look. How do we find derivative of inverse trigonometry function? Okay, so we have the derivative of, we want to find the derivative of g of x equals sine inverse of x. We're gonna use the same thing, okay? If we have y equals sine inverse of x, okay, then x will be y sine of y. Right? Because the inverse, the original and the inverse function have the input and output interchangeable. Okay, so we're gonna have an original x is equal sine of y. Now we're gonna take the derivative on both sides of x. Then what is my left-hand side? My left-hand side is 1. And my right-hand side, if you remember, the derivative of sine is cosine, right? But we also have the chain rule. So derivative of sine y or sine u will be cosine u times u prime. Okay, so this is applied for the chain rule because this is the derivative with respect to x of sine y. So y gonna be the function of x, so it's gonna be chain rule. So we will have cosine y times y prime. So y prime is our derivative. So the derivative of is the y prime is equal derivative of sine inverse of x. So if we be able to find out what y prime is, it means we be able to find what derivative of sine inverse is. So isolate for y prime, I have 1 over cosine y. However, for the trigonometry inverse, we don't want to leave our answer like that. We want to convert everything in terms of x. So how do we convert everything in terms of x? We will go back to this equation. So this equation above here will give us what? Sine y is equal x. If I write it as a fraction, then we're going to have sine y equal x over 1. So if I treat this as a trigonometry ratio on the right triangle, then isn't that the y is actually the angle y. Then what is x and 1 represent? X is actually opposites over hypotenuse because so-called toe, right? So is opposites over hypotenuse. So this is going to be my opposites and this is going to be my hypotenuse. So in the right triangle, where is my opposites? This is going to be my opposites because it's right across y. So this is my x. And then the hypotenuse is 1, is right here, is 1. So square root of 1. So what is my adjacent? Okay, so how do I find adjacent? Adjacent is if we use the Pythagorean theorem, we have adjacent. I don't know what adjacent is, so it's going to be square root of 1 minus x. Square root of 1 minus x squared. Using the Pythagorean theorem, we will have square root of 1 minus x squared. So sine of y is opposite of hypotenuse, so we have x over 1. Then what about cosine y? Cosine y is adjacent over hypotenuse. Where's my adjacent? Adjacent is what we just found, and this is opposite, and this is hypotenuse. Then we will have adjacent is square root of 1 minus x squared over 1. So we will replace the cosine y by square root of 1 minus x squared. So it's going to be 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. So that will be my derivative of the sine inverse function. So derivative of sine inverse function now becomes 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. So that is showing that, oh, what is the derivative of sine inverse function? So in general, we have 6 trigonometry functions. So that we're going to have 6 trigonometry inverse to find the derivative. So if you look at the first one, derivative of sine inverse is 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. Similarly, to find the derivative of cosine inverse, if you apply the same way, you will be able to find the derivative of cosine inverse is negative 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. And derivative of tangent inverse is 1 over 1 plus x squared. The last 3 is cotangent inverse, secant inverse, and cosecant inverse. Okay, And remember in trigonometry, whenever we take the derivative, everything which start with a C will have the negative on top of it. Okay, negative. And you can see that derivative of sine and cosine and sine is they have a good relation, right? So they're gonna have the same derivative but with the negative opposites. And then tangent, cotangent will have the same derivative but with the opposite side. So pretty much if you can know what is the derivative of sine, you will be able to figure out derivative of cosine inverse. I mean, sine inverse and cosine inverse, okay? But however, you don't have to memorize this. You can have the table with you. And also, of course, these functions may have a chain rule. So if you have the derivative of sine inverse of something else that not x, then it's like u. So just for your head up. So the sine inverse function can also written as arc sine. And cosine inverse function can also written as arc cosine. Tangent inverse can written as arc tangent. Okay, so of course they need the x. Okay, so the inverse function can read as an arcs, right? Arc sine, arc cosine, arc tangent is mean inverse of those trigonometry. So if you have the derivative of arc sine u, then you're gonna have 1 over square root of 1 minus u squared times u prime. So all you have to remember is anything that not x, you will have to have the chain rule. Okay, so let's take a look at these example, number 5 and number 6. So I want to find the derivative of sine inverse of x squared plus 1. So what is the derivative? If we use the formula, the derivative rule, then we have f prime of x is gonna equal, what is my u? My u in this case is the one in the parentheses. So u is x squared plus 1. Now what is du? du is 2x. The derivative of u prime, I mean not du, the u prime. U equal x squared plus 1. U prime is 2x. Okay, so we have 1 over square root of 1 minus u squared times u prime, which is 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared plus 1 squared, because it's a u, right? I replace u by x squared plus 1, and then times u prime, which is 2x. So that's going to be our answer for the derivative of sine inverse x squared plus 1. Now, similarly for tangent inverse, so our u will be 2x cubed. U prime will be 6x squared. Now, what is the derivative of tangent inverse? Tangent inverse have the derivative is 1 over 1 plus u squared. 1 over 1 plus u squared times u prime. And our u is 2x, so we're going to have 2x cubed squared. Times u prime will be 6x squared. So the result will be 6x squared all over 1 plus 2 squared is 4, x to the power 6.